I think that this is especially a very, very challenging time for our country. And at this point of time, it was very, very imperative for us to have a stable government. Now we have a strong and stable government. Not only a strong and stable government, but a strong and stable government which is coming for a second term after having had quite a successful first term. The successes of the first term are many, as has been told by previous speakers, especially our senior VP, Mr. D.K. Aggarwal also. The success of GST, which was I think, a reform which people had been talking about, but nobody had the guts to do. This one single act, despite all the difficulties, all the confusions, all the foibles that happened during its implementation, but ultimately, end of the day, this was one step which was needed to unite our country into one single marketplace, which has now happened. I think this was a basic building block that had been missing in our country's economy for a long time, and there is no way that we can underestimate the importance of this one great step having happened. Other than that, of course, the earlier in the NDA one government, of course, lots of positive things happened. The building of toilets, the number of home loans, the amount of homes built for poor people, the amount of focus on infrastructure, lots and lots of things. But now we have to look ahead. We have to look at the opportunities and the challenges which are there today. So from that perspective, I guess we have to impress upon the government to really focus on some sectors like education, for example, which is again the basic building block, where we are lacking. In education, we have been doing a lot, but we need to do a lot more. Especially, we have to somehow shift the focus away from the BA mindset, BCom mindset, to vocational studies. Vocational studies at an earlier level, not later than after completion of 10th standard, so that the younger generation which comes into the economy has actually learned some trade skills. That is something which has not been given the importance. We have, of course, Skill India movement. There is a lot of things happening on that front, but I guess we need to improve, do lot more on that one particular front. Third is the provision of medical facilities, which has received a great boost with the universal insurance schemes that the government has brought in. I think those now need to be properly implemented and kept in mesh with the policies of how the actual implementation of this insurance works, how the private medical centers in the Mufassil areas, in the small towns, how they are able to get reimbursed, and how we are able to have much more facilities of that nature, which will of course be needed to really gel with the insurance scheme that we are talking about, because we don't need people then to be traveling hundreds of kilometers for their medical help. One sector which still needs a lot of reform is judiciary. We suffer not only as individual citizens in terms of where we are having long waits for the law to take its own course. The biggest issue is, which is very urgent, is that the foreign investor also does not have any faith. Even as businessmen, we also have a problem because of the long delays. If we take 4 or 5 years for every court case to be reaching any conclusion, that is something which we need to address with a very, very strong hand. This drift, I read in the newspaper today, the headline was, first time in 10 years, the Supreme Court has a full bench strength of 31. Now, should we be happy about it, or should we cry about it? That if the Supreme Court of India cannot have a full bunch of judges, and that is happening when the amount of backlog is running into, lakhs of cases? This is shameful. This is a sector which has been totally neglected, right from the Supreme Court down to the smallest court level. That is the place where we need to invest money. We say that there is an employment problem, there is a jobs problem. At the same time, we have shortage of judges, we have shortage of courts. Why can't we build more courts? Why can't we employ more judges? Why can't we have more lawyers? These things are not happening. And this is the basic infrastructure which is needed to run a country efficiently. If I don't get justice, if there is a dispute, and I am not able to get my matter settled, where am I? So this is some of the basic jobs of the government, which the government of India has not been able to do fully for the past 70 years. Things have been talked about, but things have not really improved. And these are what I would say that this new government, which is a fully empowered government, which has dealt with a lot of burning issues in its first 5 years, should now take up the issues which are really, really important for the long-term survival and long-term benefit of the country. Power sector reform. We are today in a comfortable situation where we say that the power shortage is almost negligible and we almost have the power generating capacity that we need, which is very good. But most of us fail to see that now the investment into power generation has gone down tremendously. People are being dissuaded from investing into power plants, not only because of the difficulties in obtaining land to the extent that is required, but also because the difficulty in getting paid. The DISCOMs still remain in a very, very bad financial shape. There have been some schemes by the government to refinance the DISCOMs and to make them work better, but they have not been successful. We need a renewed focus by the government on the power sector. We have to make sure that there is adequate investment on a continuing basis into power generation also. I'm not talking of individual types of power generation, whether we are going for solar or for coal or for diesel or whatever. Point is, there will always be a mix of technologies needed. Hydro will be needed, there will be solar will be needed, there will be wind power needed. We'll need all. But they have to get paid. And we are not ensuring that the power generators get paid. That is a big issue. Digital India. This was a major, BharatNet was a major initiative, is a major initiative. The Prime Minister has famously said that earlier the cities used to be built along riverways and then highways, and now it will be along highways, along the provision of internet data. That is the scheme which has been talked about, that is being worked about, but it has been, I would say, very patchily implemented. The amount of the number of villages that should have been connected, and those villages to which their optical fiber have reached, for them to be actually availing the digital services, all that has been mired in bureaucracy. It's been very, very slow, and it has been further slowed down by the economic condition of BSNL. Now it's very easy to blame BSNL for being into a loss or a loss-making company, but does somebody realize that it is paying salaries for lakhs of people who are actually government employees? They have nothing to do with the telecom business today as it exists, but they are there. So you are loading on legacy of your government employees onto a company and then say it's not working. No. And then you are destroying the sector, and that is the company which is entrusted to doing BharatNet. So as a result, BharatNet is suffering, BSNL is suffering. These things have to be looked at pragmatically and very, very practically. Now I would like to bring out some points which I think we all are aware of, but they are always normally swept under the carpet. Everybody says that, okay, let's look at it next time. Nobody wants to touch them. Agricultural income tax. Why should there not be a tax on farming them? Why should we have people disclosing crores of non-taxable income, I'm told, sometimes on crops grown on tops of their terraces in Mumbai? If you can claim it, if you are powerful enough, you can do it. Point is, Agricultural income is not a holy cow. Why should it be kept as a holy cow? It's diverting a lot of money into the black economy. It is taking away that money from the productive sectors. There is impose a tax which is at the highest slab. Go for, if let us say that the taxes highest slab starts at maybe what, 8 lakhs, if somebody is aware. So tax 8 lakh and above. Don't ever touch the poorest farmer. But the farmer who is making a huge profit, he should be taxed. That tax must come to the government. That's one. Second, subsidies were briefly mentioned by Dr. Chadha, but this is again an issue which is a huge pain point for our country. Why should there be subsidies on kerosene or on fertilizer? And most of it gets, where does it go? A lot of that subsidy goes into adulteration. Kerosene, it goes into adulteration of your petrol. Whom does it help? Kerosene is barely used as a poor man's fuel today, but it remains a holy cow. Why should it? Why should we continue with these sort of mistargeted subsidies when we can remove all of them in one swift stroke? We have got Aadhaar system, we have got direct benefit transfer. Give the transfer give the benefit where it is needed as a direct injection of funds. Why should this roundabout way continue to tax the economy? And I'm sorry to say, it also fuels a lot of corruption and adulteration and very large number of malpractices. Regulated prices. Why should there be a regulated price of anything? Why should the government decide that what price of fertilizer should be sold and what price sugar should be sold, and then the sugar bill says that the price is too low, I am not able to pay the farmer. And then there is a farmer agitation, so the government says we are doing this for the farmer. Why is this pot kept boiling permanently? Why should we have a regulation on such industries at all? I think these issues need to be addressed by a government which is now a strong government, which can probably challenge some old shibboleths, some old, unmovable objects, which probably now they should have the strength to do. Labor and land, of course, is the one refrain that almost all speakers have had. Even I mentioned it in the very first session, and I think we all expect the government to do more on this. I guess this is more or less my list of my wish list, and I'm really grateful to all. We have had such a huge audience today, such a vibrant presence today, and we have got such, I would say, knowledgeable and I would say brilliant even panelists today who have, at least I stand very greatly enlightened and educated today.